Get ready to hear the truth about America. A new show that isn't allergic to the facts. The Bold Conservative. Now, here is your host, James Ledbetter.
All right. Welcome all my bold conservatives. Today, this glorious Monday, I want to talk about how the left absolutely could not stand President Trump's social media summit. They were talking really bad about it, every single one, and you Google it, and that's all you're going to see is how the left was bad-mouthing it. Then we're going to talk about how California liberals celebrated the 4th of July, America's birthday. You want to stick around for this. But first, Bluehost website hosting is one of the top recommended WordPress providers by WordPress.org. Enjoy a hassle-free WordPress installation on all accounts. Or you can choose one of their beautifully pre-built templates to get started. Trained in-house experts are there to help 24/7. Their robust help center includes guides, video tutorials, and more. Try Bluehost and love them, or get a refund within 30 days of signing up. Not too many website hosts can say that. Your satisfaction is their top priority. Also, get access to marketing tools, services, and paid ad credits to boost your website's global reach. Get a special deal of only $3.95 per month when you visit them at bluehost.com/track/theboldconservative. The link will be in the description. Get your beautiful website hosted today. Now, we're going to talk about how, as you know, social media and media bias, Twitter might soon have the government breathing down their necks for shadow banning conservatives, while Facebook's market value has plunged more than $130 billion in just 2 days as the one dominant social media site growth goes flat amid charges of bias. Is this the beginning of the end of social media boom? A report by Vice, if you want to believe Vice, sometimes they have to tell the truth because they have no choice. But as reported by Vice, which can hardly be considered right or center, found that Twitter appeared to be suppressing certain accounts of conservative groups, individuals, and politicians. That's right, you heard that right, and politicians. So many politicians have noticed that their view counts have went down, their likes have went down, their retweets have went down. And that's because Twitter, just like Facebook, has been censoring conservative voices because they don't agree with what we have to say. And it's interesting that Facebook, since they've been doing this and since they've got caught in that conspiracy to sell all of the users' data, that's what they were doing. They were selling your data. All the information you've ever given Facebook belongs to somebody else now. And Facebook made a great profit off of it. But the report says that the Republican Party chair, Ronna McDaniel, several conservative Republican congressmen, and Donald Trump Jr. spokesman no longer appear in the auto-populated drop-down menu box on Twitter. Vice News reported this. So what's going on? It's not like they've become unpopular. they're just as popular as President Trump himself. So what happened? Well, Twitter doesn't like what you have to say. They consider what you have to say hate speech. So they try to silence you the best way they can. A lot of people on the right are calling these gulags, digital gulags. So President Trump, he held a social media summit last week, and The Hill reported that Trump rails against terrible bias at social media summit, and for good reason. Because President Trump on Thursday denounced the world's top social media companies as being biased against him and his supporters, and pledged that his administration will be exploring regulatory and legislative solutions to protect free speech online. We have terrible bias. We have censorship like nobody has any understanding of. Nobody can believe, he said. Trump's remarks came at the White House's controversial social media summit, which drew about 250 attendees, including top administration officials and a crowd of right-wing social media personalities. The president announced that he will be convening a meeting of the companies at the White House next week. Of course, it happened over the weekend. The White House next week over concerns that they routinely censor right-wing perspectives. Now, here's what I noticed when I actually Googled, and this is what I typed in the Google: why the left hated Trump's social media summit. And the first thing you get is the New York Times. Second thing you get is Slate. Trump's and Slate's title to their article, Trump's social media summit, is about intimidating social media. Intimidating social media. So that's from Slate, a far alt-left publication. Vanity Fair, another alt-left, left-leaning publication. Trump's social media summit is a far-right troll convention. Third, you get Vox. Donald Trump's White House summit, social media summit explained. Like we need Vox to explain anything to us. The Guardian. Trump applauds far-right provocateurs during social media summit. What do all these have in common? They're all left-leaning, and as a matter of fact, to actually get a neutral perspective, I had to go to the second page, and the fourth one down was what I just read out of The Hill. Trump rails against terrible bias of social media. So why did the left hate this social media summit so much? They hated it because, let's see, what is social media doing? Social media is largely left-leaning, so they want left-leaning Democrats to win the 2020 elections. They want to keep the House, they want to regain the Senate, they want the White House so that they can continue to destroy America like Barack Obama was doing. So they want to have all of the control because they're left-leaning. So what do? They try to destroy the opposition, which in my point of view here, this is election tampering. There's nothing less than election tampering, because Social media is supposed to be a public forum, a public square where debate happens. But when they take away one side, you just have a one-sided debate. And left-leaning people aren't debating each other somewhat. Of course, you have Nancy Pelosi and you have AOC disagreeing. You had AOC calling Nancy Pelosi racist last week. But other than that, social media, you have to admit, is left-leaning. They want their candidates to win. So they cheat. And they start programming their algorithms to silence you and to silence me. YouTube got so bad to where I just got to the point to where, you know what, I'm going to quit doing videos and I'm going to start doing podcasts. Because as far as last I checked, nobody's censoring podcasts yet. So the only way for me to get through to you, my beloved bold conservatives, is to do these podcasts. Now, when you have so many companies working, see, they're working against Trump to the point to where they are, like I said, election tampering. So now we have to figure out what we're going to do to bypass that. So what did Trump do? It's really quite genius, actually. Instead of going to these news outlets like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and all of that, he gathered together all of the most influential people on social media because he knows they're going to be rallying for him all throughout 2020. And actually, we've already started. So you had people like Mark Dice there. And Mark Dice was, of course, talking about the YouTube censorship and how YouTube blocks everything pretty much that he does. They demonetize all of his videos. And it gets harder and harder to find his videos and suggested videos. That means they've programmed their algorithms to block suggested videos of Mark Dice. And Mark Dice, he likes to talk about how he's in his kitchen recording videos. And as he's recording videos, and he publishes his videos, even though YouTube is censoring him, he still gets more views than CNN. He gets more views than MSNBC. And you can look that up. So why do they hate this? It's simple. Because Trump is getting around them. They are no longer holding information hostage. And that's what they've been doing all these years, is holding the information hostage. And they controlled what we thought and how we thought. But now they can't do that. And they can't stand it. Trump has bypassed this. And he's used these people to push his messages through, with or without social media's help. Because he knows they're going to do it. Because they did it in 2016, and they're going to do it in 2020. Just like we all did. So we need to understand that when we hear CNN or MSNBC bad-mouthing this stuff that Trump is doing, Trump is a genius. We already know that. I remember back when I was I think I was about 18 or 19. I saw Donald Trump in New York. I was helping my cousin move in a big truck. And I saw Donald Trump out on the sidewalks in New York. And I remember thinking, I wasn't thinking, Donald Trump should be president, but I was thinking that's what we need as a president. A businessman that's going to fix our economy the best way he knows how, to run it like a business. And then in 2015, he announced he was running. And I wasn't surprised, to say the least. But we're going to start our second installment here. We're going to start our second half. But first, GameFly puts video games where they belong, in the hands of the gamers who love them. The GameFly website and mobile app for iPhone, iPad, and Android all make it easier than ever to buy, rent, or play the games you love for less. GameFly's mission is to provide the most cost-effective and convenient way to play a wide range of console games. Subscribers select titles on their website, receive video games via first-class mail, and return them to GameFly at their convenience using the company's prepaid mailers. Subscription prices range from $15.95 for a one-game plan to $36.95 a month for a four-game plan. Subscribers also have the option to purchase the video games they are currently renting through GameFly's Keep feature. They also sell used console games. Start your free trial at GameFly and rent games for your favorite gaming platform today. The link will be in the description below. That being said, so we know how true Americans celebrate the 4th of July. You saw what Donald Trump did. He had parades going down in Washington there. He had troops, and he had patriots of all colors, races, and everything. However, in California, they tend to celebrate the 4th of July a little bit different. Considering the majority of California is left-leaning, they hate America, so they celebrate America's birthday a little bit different than we do. Americans recently celebrated the 4th of July, and millions of us commemorated our great nation's unique founding as a bastion of liberty, political defiance, and the rights of the individual. The diverse states, countries, and municipalities of our federal republic did this in a number of different ways, from public readings of the Declaration of Independence and small-town parades to outdoor concerts and spectacular firework displays. As one might expect, we did things a bit differently here in California, the author Gregory Gordon says. We celebrated freedom by ushering in a handful of restrictive new laws and tax increases that took effect on July 1st. And then on July 9th, just to underscore the insanity of the Golden State, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a measure gaining government subsidized medical benefits to illegal aliens. You heard that right. So while we're all celebrating the birth of the United States of America, our true Independence Day, California was passing a law that gives illegal aliens free health care, which is going to cost them billions of dollars each and every year. And how did they get to this point to where they were going to give illegal aliens free health care. They increased the tax of gasoline by 12 cents. 12 cents per gallon. And shockingly, the average California household will spend almost $1,000 per year on gas taxes alone. Construction work and more spending continues on California's high-speed rail project, which was initially pitched to voters in 2008. Yeah, they're still working on that. It was pitched in 2008 as a futuristic transportation panacea that would connect Los Angeles to the Bay Area. The project had been pared back considerably. However, will now connect only a 175-mile segment in the San Joaquin Valley. Despite this, California's Quickset bullet train quest is now billions of dollars over budget, and eminent domain is still being used to separate hundreds of farmers and business owners from their land and property, all for the project that may never come to fruition. So California showed their hate for our country. California showed their hate for its taxpayers by forcing them to pay more taxes just so that they could give illegal aliens, that's pretty much anybody that comes from anywhere in the world, free health care. Think about that for a minute. We constantly hear about how Californians, not as a whole, not everybody, I've actually talked to people in California. I've talked to conservatives and I've talked to liberals in California that cannot stand the way the Democrats are running California. You have homelessness running wild. In San Francisco, you have, and not only San Francisco, but all over, you have maps that are drawn up now on the internet that show you where human feces is, so that you can avoid that area. So the fact that they had to make that map is really surprising to me. And it shows that they really don't care. And another thing, California has all of these shooting up places. They have used needles everywhere. They have naked homeless people walking around high on dope in front of children, naked, running around without their clothes on, naked. Now see, I'm from Georgia. If you get caught in Georgia running around naked, you will be labeled a sex offender for the rest of your life. That is indecent exposure. That is very serious where I'm from. But in California, it's the new norm. I mean, you drive down the road and you see some homeless guy just spread eagle on the pavement there, and that's normal to them. And that's crazy. That's crazy. And I keep telling you people how insane the left has gotten. And I'm hoping that you, bold conservatives, share this with all of your liberal friends. There are so many people walking away from the Democrat Party simply because of the way they treat us, simply because of the way they treat our country and our flag and everything else about our country. While we are celebrating the 4th of July, our independence from Great Britain, they are passing laws to spit on our country even more. And this is what happens when you have Democrats running a city, a state. Look at Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan fell a long time ago. Detroit, Michigan, some of my older listeners will remember, Detroit, Michigan used to be the motor capital of the world. There were so many factories building motors, building car parts. Every American car company was based out of Detroit, Michigan. That's why they call it the Motor City. Now, when you look at Detroit, Michigan, all you see is dilapidated buildings, burnt out cars. Hulls of cars just burn out on the side of the road. And street lights shot out because the Democrats have been running Detroit, Michigan for decades. And now you have California falling in that same situation. You have California they're just barely living, man. They're just barely living, and they don't care who knows it. They don't want to better themselves by voting these Democrats out and voting in someone who's going to take care of them. See, oftentimes these representatives that are elected into office think that they work for us, or we belong to them, when in fact they work for us. They're there to represent us and our needs. And so many Americans voted for Donald Trump. So many. Why? Because he said he was going to protect us. He was going to get the wall built. He was going to increase jobs. He was going to fix the economy. And he has done all of that. He hasn't completed the wall. The wall will take years and years to complete. But he got started. He's actually fixed most of the places where we had rundown walls. And promises made, promises kept, people. I mean, I spent a lot of time here in India, and I vote. When I vote at the American Embassy there in Chennai, India. And I vote, and I voted for Trump, and I will vote for Trump again. But as I was talking about in the first segment, the liberals, the Democrats, they do not want our voice to get out. So it is our job, it is our responsibility to get all of these out, to get my podcasts out. Share my podcast with everybody you know. Share everything that Donald Trump says with everybody you know. Because there's some people on this earth that they don't have a Twitter. They don't understand what Twitter is, and they don't get on Twitter. And that's where Donald Trump speaks 90% of the time. And then you have Twitter talking about censoring him and us. They call it shadow banning. And the first social media company that started that was Reddit. When you posted something they didn't like, they just shadow banned you. That means you can see your posts, but nobody else can see your posts. So you don't know something's wrong. We need to get this word out and help Donald Trump win in 2020. We cannot stand to let the Democrats win again. The Democrats cannot win. If the Democrats win, America is done for. America is going to change drastically. And there's nothing we can do about it for another 4 years. So I'm running out of time. I thank you all for listening. Tune in tomorrow because we have a lot of interesting news that happened over the weekend that I didn't have time to talk about in this podcast. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time. And be sure to share this with all of your friends. Y'all have a great day, and I will talk to each and every one of you tomorrow.